Welcome to Wake Up with Joni, the podcast where embodied consciousness meets life, relationship, and leadership through conscious awareness, lived, not theorized. Each week, we explore the conversations, insights, and practices that help us move from fear and reaction into clarity, authenticity, and conscious choice. Because lasting transformation begins when we learn to trust ourselves. Today's guest is Martina Tisljar. She is the founder of MediTap, a speaker, angel intuitive, and EFT and matrix reimprinting master trainer. After a life-altering medical misdiagnosis, nearly costing her life, Martina was forced to confront a powerful question. What happens when we ignore our inner knowing? From there, her journey, ultimately her purpose, unfolded. So we're going to get to have that conversation today. Together, we'll explore the journey from fear-based living to self-trust. So welcome, Martina.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Joni.
Oh, yes, it is my pleasure. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. I like to always ask who you are and where your journey began in terms of making a difference, really.
There are two major events that actually shape the where I am in this moment. The first one was 20 years ago when literally an angel showed up in my room. That's why in my region, I'm known as Angel Whisperer, like you mentioned, Angel Intuitive. And the second major event was 5 years ago when I was misdiagnosed, heavily treated for the condition I didn't have, and I almost died. So these two are actually major ones that shape who I am today, what I teach, and what I am consciously choosing to embody every day.
So can we talk about the signs that told you that something wasn't right? What point did you actually listen to that?
There were many, I have to admit, there were many. Before that diagnosis happened, I wasn't feeling well for months. But I was always the one with a lot of energy, a lot of strength in the body. I was the one, the responsible one, driven by my shoulds, my musts. So I ignored it. I was powering through. And even my guides told me, slow down, relax. You don't have to do all of these things. My body was also sending me signals. From time to time, I was feeling tired. I had this dizziness sometimes, and I knew that something is going on. But like I said, I was driven by this unconscious wheel of shoulds, do it more, do it harder. I was a single mom back then. My job was my work depended on me showing up every day. So unconsciously, I was more in survival. Unconsciously, I was in survival. I was fear driven more than purpose driven, but I wasn't aware of it. And one day I collapsed. I found myself on the floor. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And then I realized I really have to do something. I had to go visit the doctor. And I went there and the results came back and he was super worried. He told me, you have Lyme disease, you have overgrowth with another bacteria. And he said, we have to be aggressive. We have to put you on very strong medications, like 2 very strong antibiotics, some supplements, and some other medications. And in that moment, I knew it was wrong. It was counterintuitive. It was too much. And I was asking these questions. And everything I got back was, there's no other way. There's no other way. My partner was there. She was super worried about me. I started to think about everything, like my son, my work, my everything. And I was like, am I irresponsible if I don't take these medications? And I gave in. I took the medications, and after a while, after a few weeks, I was feeling worse and worse. And I realized I have to visit more doctors. I've done more tests, and they came back devastating. I had several very bad prognoses. And when the last doctor, she actually told me very directly, "You're a goner. You're not going to survive the next calls." And Yoni, in that moment, I wasn't even scared. I was angry. Angry. I was angry at myself. I was angry because I was ignoring myself, my inner voice, my intuition, my guides. I was ignoring everything. And I realized that I came to the point where I was so much in this overwhelm. I was so caught up in fight and flight and freeze response that I wasn't even able to not only listen to myself, but follow what I knew that was right for me. I always had very strong intuition. Since that moment when angels showed up in my room, all of that became even bigger. But what I realized that intuition itself, it's not enough. What is also very important is to have energy, to have courage, to be more at home with yourself, to actually start following your intuition fully.
I love that
Mm.
because it begins with the intuition. But then, as you're saying, courage, which is even if you're fearful, you take action or you do what needs to be done. From that comes choice, and from that comes decision. There are a lot of people out there who can relate to having the whispers, having the indicators that there's something off or there's something wrong, or don't go down that dark alley, or don't get in a relationship with that person, and we don't listen. So we're talking about intelligent, educated or uneducated, it doesn't matter, lovely humans, conscious, some unconscious. What is it that causes the human being to not listen?
What I believe that what prevents us to listen to our own truth, to live our own truth, is the conditioning. We have many stories in our subconscious mind. We are repeating the stories. We have many beliefs there that are not supporting us, that are not the ones that actually even supporting our truth, our intuition, what we feel beneath all of that. And what also is there, sometimes we are just trapped in emotional overwhelm, mental overwhelmed. And the way I see it, we're so much into it that our body is almost addicted to it. It's almost like it's some kind of addiction to stay in the old story, to stay in the old emotion, to stay in the uh, uh, all of that mental overwhelm. And it's not easy to go out of it. Go out of it. It's very important to show up for yourself every day, to be conscious, to be aware of it. And sometimes we have to do the work. We have to do the hard work. It's not easy. And for some, even though they are not aware of it, it's easier to stay in the old story than to do something to change it.
Yes. So addiction is a great word. Perhaps attachment could also be a word maybe people would hear more gently. But we have an attachment to these stories, an attachment to the emotions that they create. And you talk about in your work how emotions can override the intuition. So, how do you recommend that people begin to regulate or identify or even know that that's what's happening? And then how to regulate their systems?
First, I want to say that emotion by itself, it's nothing wrong with the emotions, right?
Mm,
There are no bad emotions. It's okay to feel fear. It's okay to be sad. But what is making the problem is this overwhelm when we stay stuck in the emotion. And then we have a problem. So the way I learned to regulate myself was through the methods like EFT, which stands for emotional freedom technique. I've learned matrix reimprinting. I learned all of those things because I needed something to help myself. When I started all of this work, I had very low self esteem. I was overwhelmed by life. So I actually needed something to help me to stand, to show up, to stand on the stage of life. That helped me tremendously. EFT by itself, it's, let's say it very simply, it's a stress management method. It will help you to regulate your nervous system, to lower the cortisol level in your body. So it helps you to become more resilient, to become more clear. There are so many studies, beautiful studies that actually shows that if you use EFT, you can deal with anxiety, with depression, PTSD, cravings, so many things. So it's very simple. You use two fingers and you gently tap on the specific acupressure points on your body, and while you are doing it, you are sending the calming signals to the parts of your brain that are connected with stress. And all of that help you to calm, to bring back your immune system and to feel not only more resilient, but more healthy in every way. Matrix printing gave me another approach. And while I was in this period of being lost in this diagnosis and being lost in my personal nightmare, I actually needed something even gentler. So in that period, I was meditating a lot. I was paying attention on my breath, and spontaneously, I created some mix of everything I've learned, and I call it MediTap. So it's a combination of breath work, tapping, and meditation.
oh, that's beautiful. I have to say, I'm very familiar with the emotional freedom technique.
Mm.
I actually went through a course.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful.
and as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm thinking, I need to put this on my calendar to do this every day for 10 minutes as a maintenance regulation,
Yeah.
because even though with all the breath work and the meditation, I tend to have that fight or flight happening. So I'm going to put that on my calendar. And if
Mm.
you've not tried it out there, people, it is so gentle and so powerful. I've actually worked with other people with it, and it's profound how quickly trauma, stress, somatic stuff in the body gets released in such a gentle way. There's no gnashing of teeth and clawing, and it's just really beautiful. So you talked about the matrix re-imprinting
Yeah.
that I've never heard of. I'd like to hear more about that, and then the MediTap a little bit more too.
Matrix reimprinting is different approach. It's, we also use EFT in it. So we also use specific points we tap on ourselves, but we also tap on something we called echo. It's energetic consciousness hologram. It's the part of us that is stuck in trauma. It's stuck in emotional overwhelm. So the process is different. We usually close our eyes and following the energy of the pain so that we can find the echo that is holding the energy of the pain. An echo is someone who actually is still present in our energy field and tries to protect us from things happening again and again. So many people think, okay, is this like a younger self? It can be your younger self that experienced some traumatic event or some overwhelming experience, but it can also be an older self, like 20-year-old, 40-year-old. So we are searching for the echo that it's stuck in a memory. And
Not in the luminous field, but in the memory.
in the memory, we call it matrix. So in the field,
Okay, because Toltec, there's a modality where they are able to actually remove what
mhm,
sounds like echoes in the luminous field. So what I
that's true.
love is that I got the chills. It's confirmation. It's said a different way. It's using different words, but it's doing the same thing. It's confirming that, yes, that is in fact a thing. And here's another way of removing it. Because we're walking around with our luminous field, our egg with this stuff sitting in it. And the average person has no clue that their actions, feelings, and thoughts are being influenced by this stuff that's no longer theirs, that they don't have to have.
I'm so happy that you are mentioning this because I actually can see that. I can see that in people's energy field. So when I learned about Matrix, it was so familiar to me. That's why I love the method. Everything you're saying, I resonate deeply with it. So yes, we are tapping on the echoes. What we also do, we're changing the memory. So first, we give resources to the echo. We are creating a safety for the echo. And with the partnership with the echo, we are creating the new memory, the new picture, a new vibration there. And we are implementing the new energy, the new belief in our heart and send it around and into the universe.
Is that a verbal process with the client where they get to rewrite basically their experience and then bring it forward?
Yeah, we as a practitioner, we are there to hold the space. We are
Mhm.
gently just guiding the process, but the client and the echo is doing the work. So it's very intimate. It's between the client and the echo. We are just there to hold the space, to maybe sometimes ask some questions and to gently push towards the resolution. But basically, client and the echo is doing the work. So there is a deep wisdom there.
Yeah.
We don't interfere much.
What I love and what is repeated is it's a emotional freedom
Mm,
technique. What you're talking about with the re-imprinting is creating freedom for people. All the truly effective, powerful, uplifting techniques and modalities and practitioners and all that, it's about the person becoming free.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. To be
Yeah.
free of conditioning, of all of the old stories we are repeating, and to
Yeah.
finally start living who we are underneath
Yes.
all of that.
Yes. Which is the journey, right? Unfolding, uncovering who we are. That's the journey here on planet Earth.
Yeah, yeah,
We came here to
exactly.
love. It's a lot
So,
harder to love when we've got a bunch of stuff in our field or
yeah.
traumatic things stuck in our past. And so, freedom, freedom. I totally love this. Is there anything more on the re-imprinting before you explain the MediTap?
Yeah. I would like to say something about matrix printing that is actually important. I didn't mention. One of the main things we are almost always trying to seek is what's the belief underneath. the moment we were stuck in the trauma or overwhelmed situation. And the work is about changing the belief, addressing the belief and changing the belief, because our beliefs shape our reality, shapes our biology. So the moment we change the belief, everything changes. So I just wanted to mention that because it's a very important part of the
It's
work.
very important because the belief comes out of the story,
Yeah,
because the event's gone. It could happen 10 years, 40 years ago. But the belief and out of the story about that event is what's causing pain still in this
exactly.
present moment where it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
And we are so often living and talking out of the old me. Like sometimes I talk from a place of 3-year-old Martina or 6-year-old Martina or 20-year-old Martina. And I'm like almost 50. And we are all doing it. So yeah, there is work to be done there.
I think tied into that, you talked about shoulds and musts. Can you pull a little more of a thread on that? And how do people catch themselves and delete those words from the vocabulary?
Mhm.
Because they're damaging.
They're dangerous. If you ask me, they are dangerous because they sound like conscience. They sound like the right thing to do. I was, for instance, I was always the responsible one in my family. And I wasn't realizing that I was living by the shoulds and musts and that those voices are not even mine. So the first thing, it's very important to be aware about those sentences we have inside. Oh, I have to do, I have to do this, I must do this. We very often and very lightly saying all of those things and not even questioning them. And we are actually sometimes very proud of it, right? Like, if I do what I must, I'm responsible.
Yeah, I'm a good person.
Exactly. And what I realized in one moment that those voices are not even mine. And when we stop and when we start to questioning from where does this come from, we can realize that those voices are our family's voices, our environment voices. It can be even something religious, something I don't know, we inherited from our teachers or somebody else. And when we decide to just pause and questioning it, then not only that we can see that this is not ours, but we can only notice that there are many emotions attached to it,
Yes.
beliefs, emotions, and we can tap into it. We can do something about it and we can change it. That's the nice
I
part.
love this because maybe, I love this because maybe we, rather than resist or judge those words as negative, we get to be excited about, oh, like you were saying, be curious, stop, pause. What is this about? Where did this actually come from? So if we are able to do that, and that means coming out of the amygdala up to the prefrontal cortex,
Yeah.
out of
Like that.
survival, out of fight or flight.
Mhm.
So if I'm saying should and must, there's a
Mhm.
survivally thing in there.
Yeah.
But I can go, oh, cool. What is this about? So that I can extract it or delete it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the best part of it.
Yes, I love that. What role do you think nature, breath, the natural, meditation, what part do you think that plays in our regulation, in our happiness, in our freedom?
Mm. I find that to go back to nature is one of the most important things we can do for ourselves. When I was very sick, I was barely walking sometimes, but every time I had the opportunity to go out, I went out in the nature, spent time in the forest by the stream, and I was connecting with the natural rhythm of everything. And to be able to do that, you need to be silent. We can call it meditation. Somebody can call it, I don't know how, but it's actually meditation. You are present, you are quiet, and you are allowing yourself to just be, to notice yourself, to notice what is happening around you. And if you are patient enough with yourself, when you are out there in the nature, I experienced something. It's almost like you can connect with the pulse that it's out there. And it's almost like you can connect the pulse of your heart with the pulse of the nature. I know maybe it sounds like some woo-woo thing, but it's there. And I felt it. And it helped me tremendously. Those walks, those meditations in the nature helped me change my life, helped me to go back to a natural rhythm, more natural rhythm, and to actually become healthy again.
I have recently, essentially yesterday, returned from a 3-week road trip. And it was fascinating, Martina, because at first I was looking for an experience. If I were planning the trip, I probably would have gone to a tropical island and had a little umbrella in my drink. But that's not what we did. No. We flew into Chicago. We went to my place of birth in Ohio. I did a medicine bundle as a meditation and a gift back to the place of birth. Every single place we went was so different. It was as 3 weeks of this beauty and perfection, and then the opposite. So the question is, do you have an experience of that? People are looking for ease or they're looking for perfection. So they're fighting the grass is always greener. They're fighting that it's a world of duality. There is both and. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with that?
What I find, like you said, yes, we live in this duality, and it can be sometimes very confusing, right? We are experiencing the beauty on one side, and we are experiencing sometimes even horror on the other side. But when you touch that silence, when you really deeply touch the silence, you realize there is nothing wrong with the world, that everything is definitely perfect as it is. I will mention what happened to me 20 years ago because I experienced it very deeply. I'm gonna keep it short. It's a long story, but like I said, 20 years ago, an angel showed up in my room. I wasn't trying to do anything, I wasn't seeking anything. It was a day like any other day. And in one moment, this angel showed up. I fell asleep. Next day, I woke up in this state of consciousness that I cannot even explain. Everything was beautiful. Everything. Like even the colors were brighter. I was so calm and peaceful. I didn't have any question in my head. I wasn't questioning anything. Somehow I knew that everything is perfect as it is. And even people started to approach me. Some people even touched me. And it was something very unusual. But like I said, I wasn't questioning it. And after 3 days, I woke up and I was in this, let's say, normal state of consciousness we are experiencing, most of us, every day. And I start questioning everything. The questions pop up. What happened to me? Did something happen with my brain? What is going on? And I needed a lot of time to fully accept it. But what I learned from that experience and many more in my life, there is nothing wrong out there. There is nothing wrong with ourselves. We are all good, bad, and ugly. And when we actually accept it and not trying to fix it, not trying to cover it with more layers, with more roles, we are becoming free. We can find that authentic self and start living it more and more. So that's my experience. I hope.
I love it. Just a real quick side note. When you say the angel appeared, I mean, it's what a
Mhm.
beautiful spiritual experience. And spiritual
It is.
experiences and awakenings happen in all kinds of different ways. Were you feeling the angel? Were you seeing the angel? Just
When I entered my room, I was preparing to go to sleep. And in one moment, I felt that it's almost like I was glued to my bed and the walls disappeared. And I find myself in some kind of vision, some kind of different dimension. So I saw some things and I was scared. I was scared. In the moment, I just started to pray. I was like, God, please help me. This is too much. What is going on? And the moment I started praying, I felt this beautiful light inside me. It was almost like something exploded in my spine, like the light exploded in my spine. And then I looked and I saw beautiful, huge angel in a bright white light. And that angel had a sword in his hand. I didn't hear anything from this angel. It wasn't any kind of conversation, but when that angel appeared, like all the fear was gone. I was super calm. I felt better than ever in my life. And like I said, I was in this altered state of consciousness for 3 days afterwards. But I realized that that is Archangel Michael afterwards. In that moment, like I said, I didn't know that it is him. I don't know why he appeared even today. I don't know, but everything changes. Everything changed in my life since that moment.
that's beautiful. Yeah, it's interesting because consciousness is fascinating. And I think that if we're doing the work, and listeners out there are probably doing their level of work, whatever the work is, that we are able to tap into not that kind of experience per se, but that feeling of being connected to the divine, that feeling of just deliciousness. And then the world intrudes. There are lots of opinions and experts and constant noise out there. So my sense or my experience is that it is an evolution. I keep doing what I need to do. I have some days I'm a lower vibration than others, but I keep going forward. What do you agree with that? And
I 100% agree.
okay, how do people strengthen themselves, their connection to what brings them freedom, whatever they call it? How do they strengthen that in this noise?
With the decision to show up for yourself every day. What I didn't do for a very long time, I was doing the work. I loved my work. I was doing all these workshops, one on one. I was all over the place, 7 days a week, and I really loved it. But I wasn't paying attention to myself. And to be honest, I was a little bit cocky. like,
The
like
ego
I'm
snap,
so, yeah,
for this
like,
ego stage, which we all do.
yeah, like I'm doing great. I don't need to do the tapping every day. I don't need everyday meditation. And it costs me a lot. And what will I say also? I realized it recently. One day, this question popped up in my head. It was like, what healed you? And it was very interesting. I was in meditation and it started to repeat itself like, what healed you? What healed you? And I, like a child, I started to answering the question like, meditation helped. I changed my diet. I did this. I did that. And the question was still there. And in one moment, what was born out of it was humbleness healed, stirring. Because in that moment, I put God in the equation again. I put angels in the equation again. I surrender to something that it's bigger than myself. Of
Mm.
course, I did the work. I did the tapping. I did the meditation. I did the breath work. I changed my diet. I did so many things. I spent a lot of time in nature. But the secret ingredient was surrendering and to start to trust something that it's bigger than me. Because before I thought that I'm bigger than everything.
Yeah. Yes. That's a normal progression. So I love the question, what
Mhm.
heals you? And then where can you start? Those are two extraordinary questions.
Yes.
And then once one gets to a level of healedness, what's the next level? Which is, and we can be doing the spiritual all along. The spiritual is never separate from
Yeah.
where can I start?
Yeah.
But then, and this came very starkly clear in a coaching call yesterday, she's ready for next level. That spiritual over it's, and it's like, you know, too much to be doing this stuff.
Mhm.
I love the part about nature, silence. I'm going to add tapping in on a daily
Mhm.
basis. It really is
Mhm.
remarkable. The question of where can I start for the listener
Mhm.
out there? For me, I'm going to just start the tapping. So let's say with a brand new person and then somebody who's got some
Mhm.
experience, where would you
Mhm.
start with them?
Okay, so if somebody is at the beginning of the journey, the nervous system regulation is one of the most important things we need to do. Like tapping, yeah, like you mentioned, I mentioned, it's a beautiful tool, very easy to use. I love breath work. It can help you also to calm down, and it can also help you to hold the calm. If you pay attention to it, and if you are consciously breathing the way that your inhale is shorter than your exhale, it can help you tremendously. So sometimes maybe you don't have circumstances for tapping. Pay attention to your breath. It's easy and it's doable in any situation. I love meditation. I found that I can meditate while I cook, while I walk, while I doing the things. It's about silence, like you mentioned. And when you did all of this, you created the safety in your body. What I would say that the next step is to start to connect with the one that is behind all of that mental emotional noise, to start recognizing who am I without this emotional overwhelm? Who am I without this role in my life? Who am I without this? And to start tapping into it and to start remembering it and to start embodying it. So,
And it might be uncomfortable
very.
first because people who are used to walking on the edge of a razor blade, that's what
Mhm.
feels normal. So when they begin to regulate, when they begin to slow down and quiet themselves, know that that's okay. It feels weird, but keep going, right? The gifts are waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That decision is so important, to promise ourselves to show up for ourselves every day. Don't skip a day. If necessary, put the post-its all over the place. Set the alarm for yourself in your phone. It is very important. Like I said, I wasn't showing up for myself and it cost me a lot. Let's not do that.
Here's exactly, exactly. And many of us do that. A branch of that is how important do you think it is for people to begin to pay attention to the intuition, to the feeling of the people in their lives, the
Mhm.
places they go? How do they feel in those places? And they're, if it dysregulates them, makes them uncomfortable, she or he triggers them and makes them uncomfortable. What do you recommend to people?
Mm.
Do they have the right to curate their lives in such a way that they don't have to be in those situations?
Of course, of course. I find intuition, it's one of the most important things today, to stay connected, to allow ourselves to not only hear it, but to follow it. It's necessity. In the world of noise we are living today, and with all of this, it's a crazy world out there,
Very unsettled. Yes.
very unsettled. So who do you trust? Who can you trust? And when you start to rely on that inner voice, your inner truth, you become not only resilient, you start to trust the one who is making decision. And when you start to trust the one who is making decisions, you have strength, you have clarity, and you are more stable in life. Our intuition is always there. Some people think it's something mystical, it's something they need to chase, it's something they need to add to their lives, but it's not. We all have it. We all have it. It's the way we are designed, so to speak,
Mhm.
but it's very often covered. So we were talking about all of these beautiful modalities. Use it,
Mhm.
cover the noise, do something with it, regulate yourself, create that safety inside of you, and start following your truth, right?
Yeah.
Life is too short to live by rules of others.
I love that. I think people can begin to practice asking the question, is it true? So your intuition says something and they can say, is that true? Practice, and that will come trust. There's a deep knowing, a deep trust once you have tapped into this and integrated it into the DNA. It's not a thinking process anymore. It's just,
Yes, yes. And sometimes we are so caught up in fear and in trying to stay safe that we don't want to hear our intuition, because sometimes our intuition will say, move, do this differently. And
break
what I
up.
found, yes, exactly. It's not always easy. Like
Yeah.
intuition is not this happy voice that will say to you, everything is perfect, just stay where you are. Intuition is something, sometimes something we don't want to even follow. But what I saw so many times, not only in my life, in life of my clients, when they really follow it, when they go through the period of difficulties, of change, of uncertainty, when they embrace that uncertainty and keep following what it feels right for, oh my God, they change their lives so much. I believe you experienced that
Yes.
also.
Yeah.
We all
Yes.
had those moments, and they're precious.
Yeah. It's like the birth canal. It's not comfy,
It's not
but
good.
popping out the other side is really fun. Lots of good stuff on the other side. How much people have asked me, how can I make a difference? We talked about
Mm.
the collective and humankind, noise, and they ask me, how can I make a difference? And the answer is one that was given to me on a podcast 10 years ago. And it was, take care of yourself, heal yourself. Do you agree?
100%. There is something I love to repeat. We are all trying to figure it out life. We are searching for the answer in spirituality and many kinds of other approaches, modalities, etc. What I found is that the love and acceptance of ourselves is the only spirituality we need. That means take care of yourself first. In the airplane, they are teaching us put the mask first,
Yes.
and we are not doing it. So it's that simple. And the simplest thing sometimes are the hardest one, especially for something like that to say to a woman who is conditioned to take care of everybody else but herself. it can be very difficult, but it's always simple.
So I am in love with this conversation. I have
Mhm.
to tell you, it's been really important to me because this is, it's a lot. It's a lot of life energy in doing the podcast and that kind of thing. But every once in a while, a guest will come on. I'm just so inspired. And yes, this is why I'm doing this. So thank you for that before I'd
Oh,
heard to say
thank
it.
you.
I was reading The Eye of the Eye, and somewhere in the first third of the book, it talked about how 78% of humanity, the consciousness level is measured under 200, and that's negativity. And then it went on to say a person that calibrates at 1,000, that person can counterbalance the entire world, where there's no one that is at that point right now. The regular humans out there, at 300, we
Mhm.
counterbalance 75,000 people. At 600, it's something like 10 million. So the higher your consciousness, the greater your healing, the higher the vibration, the more we will counterbalance what's going on out there. So it is critical for us to be doing this work and for the people out there to be doing their work. I have one more question. How do you recommend that the listener go out and live their most alive lives?
Beautiful question. Before I go into it, I have to say this, Yoni. You were mentioning the book you were reading. That is one of the most beautiful things I have ever read.
Mhm.
And that is something that always gives me hope. And I'm always returning to. If I show up for myself and if I'm doing the work, whatever that means for me, for somebody else will be something different. But if I'm showing up and climbing on that scale of that consciousness, of beautiful vibration, and if I choose every day to go there and to touch the silence, touch the love, and stay there and open my heart every day more and more, there is always more love. There is always more love to experience. I'm doing the work. I'm doing the best possible work just to be conscious human being. So what would I say to others? Show up for yourself. Do the work. Whatever feels right for you. Meditate, go into nature, do the tapping, and know that there is nothing wrong with you. You have everything you need already. And I would add something. I truly, deeply believe that, and I feel that every day. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are supported every day. We all have guardian angels. We all have somebody who is taking care of us. Maybe it's not visible, but it's there. And when we connect with that, that it's bigger than ourselves, we can heal even the parts of us that we will never be aware of.
Mm.
So let's surrender to life. Let's surrender to trust. Let's surrender to something that is much bigger than all of us together.
Mm.
And I believe that's the service, to open our hearts, to connect with one another, to hold hands with one another, and to be more coherent. Something pop up now. I have to share this. Coherence is like this beautiful order. For instance, when water is in coherent state, the molecules inside are beautifully shaped. They look like they hold their hands together. So for me, the coherence is like not only be coherent inside, but to be in coherence with all others. And when we are in the place of love, of alignment, we are starting to hold the hands that are around us.
Mhm.
And we became resilient, not as only ourselves, but as a society in the grander picture.
Very eloquent. and very gentle and sweet in your delivery. Your presence is very regulating.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you. I completely forgot to ask where they can find you. Where can they go to work with you?
You can find me on the website, divineselfawakening.com. On the website, you will find everything you need, how to connect with me, with social media, etc. And what will you also find on the website is something I'm very happy to share. It's Oxford class, Own Your Inner Voice, filmed at the Oxford University. You will find 15 lessons that will actually help you to peel away all the layers that prevents you to not only listen to your inner voice, but to also follow it. So I'm inviting you to find me on divineselfawakening.com.
So thank you for being.
I appreciate you so much. This was a beautiful journey. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. If you found helpful nuggets or inspiration in this episode today, please rate, review, subscribe, and share it with somebody that you care about. The more we give for the sake of giving, the bigger the difference we can. And if you're interested in coaching with me or grabbing my book, Stop, Look, Choose Your Journey to Peace and Freedom, go to wakeupwithjoni.com or go to paradiseranchretreat.com for more information on solo or couples retreats here. You can come hang out with me. Now, beautiful humans, my favorite part. It's your turn to go out and live your most alive